start to see how they move. So I'm going to push the ball up and then pull my pinky toe down so that my foot is kind of like doing this tilt and wave. And just kind of get those joints moving. They don't tend to move a whole lot, especially if we jam them into shoes. I know most of us have probably been inside for a while, but it's always good to get these things moving. And you can grab each individual toe. You just kind of move it around. See all the different directions they move. Try to get each toe to kind of go in the opposite direction of the one next to it.
Ooh, good morning, Lori.
I'm going to take, so I like to take I'm doing my right leg here, so I'm going to take my left hand. I'm just going to try to thread my fingers right between my toes here. Again, not really pushing through any pain here, but just find that little distraction and all that space and just start to move your toes around with that.
So this is a good opportunity to experience where the toes like to go. What does it feel really, really tight getting the fingers in there? Can you even get all fingers in there? Or is it a couple of toes are just like stragglers that's jammed? But what you can do is grip the top of the foot. Let me show you guys on my screen real quick. So if you get the fingers in here with your opposite hand, you can take your other hand, grip it at the top. So it's almost like you're twisting each hand in the opposite direction. So if all fingers are rotating towards if the big toe, thumbs are turning towards the pinky toes, you're turning the hand to the opposite direction. So it's like you're wringing a towel, right? So you're just turning back and forth and you're just teaching the whole foot to start turning, because these joints are called your tarsals, these bones, and most of the times when we're walking, they kind of glide over each other. So if we lose that rotation in that step in the foot, then every time we step, it kind of jams up. So the more you teach the foot to rotate and move the toes along with that, then the foot will learn to dissipate force a little bit more efficiently when we're walking, jumping, running, and just moving in general. Right, so you can just twist, 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 twist. You can add an extra pull if you like. So you're gripping those toes and then you're pulling the hand up. So you're extending the toes and you're elongating them, opening up the joints so you can rotate a little bit more. All right, back to Ryan.
Everyone get both feet there, or are we still working on it? Can't see. Can I get some thumbs up, thumbs down? Andy, how are we looking?
Looking good.
Sweet. All right, guys. So when we're ready, we're going to move up the body towards the ankles here. So if you just want to find, you can stay seated. So just bring one leg closer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my right arm under my right leg. I'm going to grab my shin and then grab my wrist here. So I've got left arm laid over my shin. Right arm comes under my leg, and then I'm grabbing my left arm with my right hand. So that's just going to kind of keep my knee and my hip stabilized as you move your ankle around. So what we're going to think about doing, pull your toes up. We're going to go in big circles here with the ankle. Try to really control this range of motion. So pull the toes up. We're spreading the toes out as we pull up towards the knee. Then we're going to rotate to the side here. So like we're trying to show that the bottom of your foot to your right side as far as you can, and then start to point your toes down while you keep the bottom of your foot shown to the right side of your body, and then start to scoop your toes under. Now we're showing the bottom of your foot towards the left side of your body. Come up. They've lifted your toe, the bottom of your toes are pointed towards that left side. We're going to come back to the middle where we started. To each direction. Really, really important movement, since we can stretch the ankles all we want, or we can do mobilizations all we want. But if we don't teach the body to actually use this range of motion by doing activations like this, where we have to move ourselves through it, then the body doesn't tend to want to hold on to it as much. And the ankles are super, super important, because anything that goes down in the ankles, any range of motion your ankles tend to lose, is going to travel up the body, whether it's knees, hips, low back, even up to shoulders and neck. Once you've done 2 each way, go ahead, switch legs. Pulling the toes up, bottom of the foot goes to the outside of the body, scoop down, come up. Nice. How are we looking, Andy?
Looking good.
Sweet. You guys might feel some warmth starting up in your calf there. It's a good thing. Getting the muscles working. All right, once we're happy with that one, come up into a half kneel. So if you have a pillow or a pad or something like that, we're going to want to grab that for your knee. All right, so basically we want to start thinking about here is planting the foot on the ground, anchoring the toes into the ground. We're just going to start to move the knee in circles. We've probably seen this one before. We're going to get a little calf stretch in the lower part of the calf right here. A couple circles each way. So we're going to start to do a little bit of work with the fascia around your ankle. So a lot of the time, the connective tissue around your leg and your ankle is pulling your knee in, so it can cause some knee pain in here. But overall, it just contributes to knee stiffness, ankle stiffness, hips, back, and it can really cause some issues with the ankle jamming. So we're going to try to just work with some skin, right? So fascia connects to skin, and if we move the skin, we can actually affect all that fascial connective tissue that controls and contributes to stiffness around the whole body. So what we're going to do is I'll take my left hand, grab my ankle here on the top, take my right hand, go just under my left, and I'm just going to rotate out just slightly. So we're just working with skin. It's not a deep squeeze and a pull. It's just a very, very, very light traction, rotating the skin, and just feel where it wants to stop. So from there, what we're going to do is start to push this knee forward, and you might feel the skin want to start to recoil back in the opposite direction that you're pulling it. So as we pull the skin out, very, very lightly keep that tension as you push your knee forward over your toes. Just like that. So find different ranges of motion too, so pushing the knee in different directions. And then what we can start to do is flow through this. So as we pull the skin out and push the knee forward, we can start to rotate just like that. So as we pull that skin out, come in, twisting that knee in, or bending that knee in. And just kind of flowing with that right there.
It might feel really, really strange, like turning the skin out towards the knees, because that's usually where the restriction lies. So the more you breathe and rotate into that position, and you feel that skin starts stretching a little bit more, it usually loosens up the ankles quite a lot.
All right, if you haven't already, go ahead and switch legs. So I've got a yoga block under my foot here, because I was finding that my quad was burning quite a bit. So this actually can help take some of that pressure off the quad, so you don't have to lean in quite as far. Yep, so again, rotating out.
Yeah, Yep. So for the most part, you want to grab the bottom part of the ankles. There we go. So literally just like 6 inches up. Yeah, like within the 6 inch range above your ankle joint. That's where the retinaculum is. That's what you want to try and rotate. That's it. Yep. Nice big circles. Rotate it as you go. Feel that skin pull. This you can actually go a little bit harder because like that. Um, yeah, that fascia while we're gripping can actually handle quite a lot of tension. So you can like go back and forth and really just like twist into it. And I definitely usually recommend twisting out towards the pinky toes a little bit more because we want to teach the ankles that it can rotate outwards better.
Yeah, you'll notice the harder you rotate out, the more you're going to feel that recoil as it wants to pull back. So that's just a good experiment to do on yourself too, so you can feel how your connective tissue that just lies under your skin is contributing to how your body moves
Cool.
and how it moves with you.
Yep. And then
Against
just,
you.
yeah, once you're done, stand up, shake it loose, and then just take a few steps around and see how it feels.
Do some little raises too. See how that feels. Switch side to side.
Does it feel like you're walking on clouds? Yeah, so if the ankles are loose, like usually it'll give you a global effect to the rest of the body to be like, oh, okay, like I feel lighter, like my feet want to move a little bit better, hips feel looser, like the whole body usually just loosens up if the ankles give you the chance to move a little bit more. All right, so now after the releases, we're gonna do just a couple of activations for the ankles and then we'll move on to the hips.
All right, so we're just gonna do some really easy calf activations here. So we're gonna stabilize. We just got a little bit of mobility, a little bit of length. Now I want to teach the body to control and stabilize that. So basically what I'm gonna do is find center here. So I'm just gonna stand my feet about shoulder width apart. And then I'm just gonna use my right leg here. I'm gonna push myself using my calf, my ankle, over my left side. And then I'm gonna slowly, just using my right leg, lower my heel back down to the ground. I'm going to push myself off to the other side, slowly lower myself back down. There we go. Yep. Then we're going to use both legs here, just some standing calf raises. Up on the toes, slowly back down. Up on the toes, slowly back down. If you find yourself losing your balance, you come towards the top, just go ahead and stop just shy of that. We don't want to go all the way up because if your body starts to feel unstable, meaning you're losing your balance, probably going to recoil back to where you were in terms of that mobility because your body just wants to feel safe. And then come back
One
down.
little cue to experiment with the calf raises is instead of lifting up your heels, think that your feet are flat and you're pushing the toes down into the ground and feel the arches pull to lift your body up. Try that a few more times. So there's a difference in just lifting up the heels versus pushing the toes down, which will help the body naturally elevate. This usually gives you more control and you feel the arches of the toes and foot have to work a little bit harder to engage. That's it. So one quick thing to think about is like every time you're going up, think down. Love it.
Sweet. All right, how's everyone's ankles feeling right now?
Sweet.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to go ahead and come down to the hips here, up to the hips actually. Grab your foam roller. Hopefully we have. So we're going to start out rolling the quads. So quads are these giant muscles right on the top of the leg. It's 4 parts, outside, middle, and inside. So there's 2 muscles in the middle there. So that's why it's called the quad. So first thing we want to do here with this one, really start off pretty easy with this. Quads a lot of the time can be really sensitive. So go ahead and roll one leg onto the roller, right? So my other leg is just laying on the ground right there. If you ever want more pressure, you can totally just lift that knee up almost like you're doing a plank. And right away, it'll add a little bit more pressure for you. So from there, we're just going to start at the knee. Find a spot that feels a little bit sensitive. Maybe like you'd like it to stop being sensitive. And then we're just going to work on bending, straightening that knee really, really slowly. We're working with fascia just like we were in the ankle. So nice and slow. Do about 3 to 5 of these bends. We're going to move on to the outside.
I'm going to jump in there real quick. So when you guys are in this position, a lot of the times both legs are completely straight. If you want to take a little bit more pressure off that leg, you can bring the outside leg up and use that to lift your body up. And even that bottom foot, you can kind of use the toes to like anchor down. Because if you let go of that bottom foot and this is fully here, you might add more pressure onto that quad. So you never want to have so much tension that you can't breathe. So elevate your body, prop yourself up. And if this is too much to bend the leg, you can keep the foot down and gently just like rotate side to side or up and down. Or if you want to, just lift the toe up slightly so that it lifts off the ground and come back. You don't have to do this if it already hurts so much, right? So go to your pain tolerance of no more than 6 to 7 out of 10. Make sure you can breathe through it and then find light position. So you don't have to bend the knee all the way up either. If it's just a tiny little bit, just like rocking back and forth, like that might be able to help, but don't have to move all the way through. Just feel where that tension is, try and breathe through it, and then use as much support as you need so that you don't put too much pressure on it. So the main thing is if your knees are up here, try not to let your back sag. You want to be able to prop up a little bit so that your hips are supporting your body. Sweet. All right, carry on. Breathe through that movement.
Yep, guys, less is more with this one. More pain is usually not better. So what we're going to do, on that note, we're going to move to one that tends to be really sensitive. So we're in the middle here, right? My leg is vertical on the foam roller. I'm just going to roll my body to the outside. So for this one, I would definitely, like Andy was talking about, keep that knee out to the side. That's going to help you control this pressure better. So I'm here. I'm just going to shift my body so that my hips open up to my left because I'm rolling my right leg. So it looks like that. So I'm keeping this knee down, but I'm going to open this hip up, and I'm going to start. I'm starting at the top of my hip, but just on the outside of the leg. So this one, sometimes it can be really useful just to sit there for a second and allow the roller to do its thing, and just let your body get used to having that pressure there. And then if it feels comfortable, go ahead and start to bend that knee, or as Andy mentioned, just that ankle, right? Because all of that fascia and connective tissue goes all the way up from the toes, up the front of the body, through the hip, across the quad, right? All the way up to the shoulders and neck. So just this movement here with the ankle, especially if you're really stiff and tight, is going to be gliding that fascia all the way up through that hip. So don't feel like, again, you have to do the knee bend.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And again, keep yourself supported here. We don't want to be sitting here looking like a dolphin trying to do our rolling.
So why this muscle is usually so tight is because the majority of us are very quad dominant, as in we use this muscle so much every time we're walking, squatting, even just sitting down and coming back up, that we forget that the glutes and the hamstrings actually exist. So if we're always using this muscle, when you roll it out, the brain is temporarily just lengthening and essentially just toning down the amount of activity this muscle has to be used. And then the other muscles start waking up. So when you come back up, well, yeah, it usually helps give the glutes and hamstrings more space to be able to activate and move.
Sweet.
All right. Cool. Next.
If you want to, something that I like to do is if once you do one leg, just to compare, if you've never had any experience with this before, just stand up and just see how one leg compares to the other. Just kind of notice that difference, because sometimes when you do both legs, we know it feels better, but I don't always know how much better. When you're ready, let's move on to the next leg. So we'll start, same thing. We're going to do center of the quad here. Coming down on the roller. Again, sometimes we have one leg that's a little more sensitive than the other. It's totally fine. But just allow that roller to sink in and just do its job here. And think less about when you roll or do any sort of release like this or myofascial release, think less about what you're doing to yourself or what you're doing and more about allowing the roller to do what it needs to do. So it's not about forcing, it's about allowing. Breathe. Remember to breathe. And when you go for these releases too, we don't need a 50, 60, 70% reduction. Like we really just want, even as little as like a 5 or 10% reduction in how tight this feels is still progress, right?
Awesome. Yep, and just make sure you go through the whole leg, whichever spots you feel like, oh, I need attention there, work on that. Move it around just a couple of breaths here and there. Once the tension dissipates, even just a tiny bit, like Ryan said, like 5-10%, move on to the next spot. Because if you do this collectively over time, that's the whole idea. Try not to just do it once a week or a month or a year. If you can do it like at least a few times a week or once a day, you'll realize that after a couple of weeks, that tension that you had in that one specific spot decreases significantly.
And if you haven't already, just go ahead and move on to the outside of the quad.
And there is such a thing as over-releasing. So sometimes we feel like, oh, the spot is so tight, I'm just going to lie here for an hour. If you do that, that muscle has a very high chance of shutting down, and then like it will cause random aches and pains elsewhere in the body. So spend no more than like 2 minutes per muscle, essentially, general rule of thumb. Because if it doesn't want to let go in 2 minutes, the chances of it ever letting go at that session is very, very low. All right, cool.
All right, good to go on that one. I've had about enough of that.
So,
all right, so if you have a tennis ball or something nice and soft, this is where we'll want to start pulling that out. You can absolutely use the roller for this one as well. So I'm going to start with the roller, and then I'll show you guys how to use the ball. So we're going to release a little muscle in the side of your hip called the TFL. So this muscle tends to get pretty tight along with that outer quad because it kind of follows that same line. So if you just lay the roller down, we're going to lay perpendicular to the roller. And then we want to keep some support here, right? So you can rest on your elbow, that's fine. If you want to get a yoga block to sit on, that's fine too.
So finding the muscle, I'm going to jump in real quick. For some people, you can't find it immediately lying it down. So if you come into this half kneeling position, so if you're here, you literally just take that hand and then jam it into that hip, like especially where that crease is. Poke into that, you'll find a solid little spongy spot. Once you found that, that's your TFL. It's almost where the pockets lie if you have pockets for the most part. Then you take your foam roller, place it directly on there, keep that spot, and then lean into it. Cool. All right, Ryan, go for it.
And then for this one, you can still find that tension by bending and straightening the knee. And do you want to bring my video back?
Are you back there already? If you're talking? Nope. Oh, interesting. That's weird. Should have done that.
Yeah.
Cool.
There we go. Yep. So if you're using the roller, just do a few reps on each side with that. With the ball is a little bit more aggressive. So I'm actually going to have you completely lay down. So easy to find this muscle. If you lay down, you can just take your thumb and start kind of looking around there. If you find your hip bone right at about your waistband level there, and then slide just below it and just move around that area with your thumb. That's where we're going to be placing the ball here. So ball goes right on that spot, and we're just going to very nicely, emphasis on nicely here, roll so the hip comes over the ball. And then if this is a little too intense, what you can do is bring your knee up, and it's going to take some of the tension off of that muscle, and that can be a really good place to start. As far as working with the ball, honestly, just sit here and breathe for a minute.
Yeah, just a general rule of thumb, this isn't for everybody. You definitely want to test to see after you do it, does your hip feel looser and stuff, or does it feel worse? Because this is a very small muscle. Many times it's a culprit, but a lot of the times it's so tight because it's doing all the work for all the other big muscles. So the chances are that your quad that we did earlier is the main muscle that's overactive. So releasing that is usually a good thing, like 90% of the time. But if that's not helping, this might help. But if you release this and it makes it worse, do not release it. Always test against your biofeedback to see if your body likes it or not. Yeah, and sometimes the ball is actually way too intense for the body. So stick with the foam roller. Many times that is more than enough. So just pick and choose to see, hey, what does your body respond to?
All right, I'm done with that one. How we doing?
Cool.
We got thumbs up here.
So if you've already done both sides, let's move on to the next thing.
Sweet. Let that go. There we go. All right, so what we want to do here is grab your pad or your pillow again for your knee. We're going to come up to this half kneeling position again. You might notice this is a little bit easier to find right now since we just worked on the hip. So what we want to do is take your hips. Imagine you're tucking your tailbone down between your legs. So as soon as you do that, you might feel a stretch come right across your quad, right? So find that half kneeling stance, tuck your hips, make sure we're not flaring the chest up. Just a point where it's comfortable and you can breathe. We're gonna tuck the toes here, squeeze this glute. We're gonna lean in, gliding your hips forward, just enough to feel probably like a 40–50% stretch in this quad right here that we were just working on. And what we want to do here, take a couple breaths and allow yourself to settle in that position right here. And then without lifting your feet or moving your feet here, we want to pull the foot towards the knee and the knee towards the front foot here. So we're going to activate this hamstring right here. We're going to pull everything together, generating a lot of stability through your hips. So we want to feel my left leg is up here. I want to feel my left glute working, my left hamstring, dragging everything together. I'm feeling my right quad, squeezing my right glute, 60–70% effort. Take a couple breaths and relax and see if this stretch gets a little bit easier. We're gonna do that one more time and then we'll switch sides. So I'll count you down and we're gonna hold that tension for about 5 seconds here. So find that tension, start to squeeze everything together, 60–70%. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into that stretch there, still keeping your hips tucked. It's really tempting when we go into these hip extension stretches to want to arch your back and you think, oh, cool, I'm getting way further. No, you're not. Your back is just arching. So really pay attention to that. And then go ahead and switch sides here. Sweet. All right, same thing. Tuck hips under. Find a little bit of tension through your quad here, keeping your shoulders stacked over the hips. Start to lean in. You're gliding your hips forward, pulling everything together. Feel that right glute. Just activate. Feel the hamstrings start to pull. Take a couple breaths here. Still squeezing the back glute. And relax. Breathe into that stretch a little bit. The reason we're focusing so much on activating after we do a mobilization or stretch or foam roll is because if you're not showing your body that it has control over the range that you're trying to give it, then it's not going to give it to you. Your body's smart. It knows when it feels safe, when it doesn't feel safe. So we need to work on feeling the muscles that we're trying to release as well. And then pull one more time. We're going to hold for 5 seconds. Start to pull everything together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Feel into that stretch a little bit. That feel a little bit easier for everybody to get into that position now? Thumbs up. Cool, awesome. All right, so put away the pad here. I'm gonna have you grab your towel. So what I would say for this one is if you just fold it twice lengthwise, so you have like this nice little long rectangle here. We're just going to go ahead and lay down on the back. So I'm going to start with my right leg. My left leg is going to come out long. If that's not comfortable for your back, you can definitely just bring that back knee up. But if you can, definitely prefer to have that leg out. And then we want to make sure your hips are tucked under and your back stays more or less flat against the ground. So you should feel your lower back contacting the ground. So I've got the towel wrapped around my foot like that. Kind of move it down towards the arch. What we want to do is lock out this knee right here. And right away, you probably feel a stretch coming through the back of your leg and the hamstring here. So use this towel, passively pull your foot up. Take a couple breaths here. And what we want to do is imagine that you're going to bring your heel down to the ground really hard. So not bending the knee, but using your hip to pull the knee down or to pull the heel down. So we're kind of pulling up here. Keep the knee straight and just bring the heel towards the ground, but don't let it move, right? So we're using the upper body to stabilize here, not letting that leg move, but still applying all that force to try to pull the knee towards the floor. We're going to hold that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out. And see if we get any further with that knee or with the leg.
Yep, so make sure this one, a lot of people go overboard on how hard they're pushing and how hard they're pulling. So I always recommend no more than 50-60% pull. So as long as you feel some tension over there, that's totally fine. And as you push down, you want 5 to 10 seconds of pushing down into the resistance. So breathe, take a few breaths and push down. Hold that position. Make sure you can own it. Same thing, 50-60%. And then after 10 seconds, then slowly let go and then see if your body allows you to pull a little bit further. But it's still a new extra 50% stretch. You never want to go more than that, or else your brain's naturally going to recoil. It's like an elastic band. If you pull the elastic band all the way to the end, you let it go, it'll like just snap back really quickly. You want to control that bounce back so that it will stay longer for a longer period of time.
Yep.
Cool. So walk people through that process one more time, Ryan.
Yep. All right. So go ahead and bring the leg, using the towel, bring the leg up to where you feel this stretch start to stop you from moving, or maybe where your knee wants to start to bend. And then, like Andy said, about 50-60% start to apply that pressure into the towel, not letting your leg move as best you can. We're going to hold 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe and relax.
And switch legs if you haven't.
Nice. And go ahead and slowly let that leg down. We're going to go ahead and switch. Again, recheck. Make sure your lower back stayed flat against the ground here. So I like to just start with this knee bent, and I'm going to tuck my tailbone under and then slowly lower my back down into the ground so that I feel my whole lower back. Straighten this leg out if you can. Bring this leg up. Feel that stretch, about 50%. We're going to start to add some tension here. So again, not letting your foot move, pulling on the towel. Start to bring the heel towards the ground. Applying pressure. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax, breathe. Allow your leg to stretch a little bit more. And we're going to do that one more time. Go ahead, start to push your heel towards the ground. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Bring that foot back down. See how things are feeling. A little windshield wiper with your knees. So I'm going to plant my feet on the ground. Let my knees, my lower back, my hips rock from side to side. Awesome. All right. So when you're ready with that one, we're going to rock up to the shin box. So to find that position, go crisscross, rock to one side, flip one leg off to the side. So if this is really, really hard, totally fine. You can either lean back and sit here for a second. We're going to do some windshield wipers. Or if you're totally fine here, we're just going to flip back and forth a couple times. So keeping the feet planted, or flipping the knees over the feet. Do this a few times on each side, and we're going to go into a little flow, incorporating the squat here in a second. All right, so when we come over to the start on my left side here, so I've come to the left side of my shin box. I'm going to lean forward till I feel some tension come through my hip here, right? So my back is straight, my chest is up, not arched. We want to keep your ribs knitted in. So a little bit of core tension here. Start to lean your body forward until you feel that stretch come through your glute and your hip here. And then just going to breathe there. Start to press your knee and your ankle into the ground. So you pushing back into the ground is what's keeping you from going any further, right? So we're going to find that tension here. If you want to, you can play around with how moving your arms makes this one feel. So we can start here, goalpost arms. It's going to add a little bit of weight and leverage, and then up taller and taller as you feel more comfortable with this one. So basically what I would do is come down until I found that tension here in my hip, raise my hands up as I'm pressing into the ground, and then as I breathe, coming all the way back up to standing and bring my arms down. So I'm going to hold about 3 seconds on the bottom here. So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, down, arms up, 3, 2, 1, hold, keep the arms up, and press back up. And then we're going to switch sides here. So flip your legs over to the other side.
Yep.
Same thing.
For people who have a little bit more mobility, you can straighten up that back leg and do the exact same thing, right? So you're using this back glute to support you. Exhale, lean forward, same rules. From here, push off. So as you're pushing, try to regulate that. Like Ryan rushed it a little bit, then you're just pushing straight up. Use that leg to push, exhale, find all those muscles, get that engagement, right? So yeah, so if your hips aren't that mobile, keep it bent. But then if you like to progress that, you can straighten out that back leg and regulate coming back up. Cool.
Yep.
Keep going.
Same thing, other side. Welcome to use that variation that Andy just showed if you want to. So leaning forward, finding that tension, straighten out the arms, and press back up. Same thing, we'll do 2 more. Leaning forward. Breathe here. 3, 2, 1. Drive back up.
Slowly up.
1 more. Slowly coming down, finding that tension. Arms up. 3, 2, 1. And press. Awesome. All right. So, how we feeling there? Thumbs up, sideways, junky.
Cool.
Cool. All right. So, same position. We'll switch sides again. I'm going to show you what this one is going to look like, and then we'll walk you through it. So, basically, finding that shin box, leaning forward again. We're leaning less towards the knee and more towards the foot, so more towards the center. So we're going to lean in here, press straight up here. So my leg is still externally rotated here. I'm going to take my back leg if you can. Otherwise, use a yoga block for balance on the outside here. So what I want to do is swing my leg around, and then I'm going to continue this rotation. So my whole body just rotated, and I'm going to continue this and pick my other knee up. And now I'm in the squat position here. From there, I'm going to go ahead and reverse it, right? So as I picked up that knee, I'm going to set it back down, right? So now I'm back in that lunge, and then send that leg back.
A little
Just
bit
like
of
that.
green tea.
All right, so if everyone wants to start just like this, again, use that yoga block if you have to. So I'll show with the yoga block. Pressing up, leaning onto my support if I need it, swinging this leg around, and then I want to continue that rotation and pivot my heel on my other leg down. So basically I'm there. I'm just going to use that to pivot down, and then I come up into this squat. I'm going to place my elbows on the inside of my knees, or we can sink the butt even lower and find this squat right here where we can just relax into that and move the ankles around. So this one's definitely, this point is definitely a little more advanced as far as mobility goes, but if you're feeling tight still, just feel free to just sit here and explore that range of motion. And then we're going to reverse it. So find your support if you need it. Lay that knee down. Swing your front leg around to where we started. So now I'm back here. We're going to flip the legs over. Same thing. Press up. Swing around. And pivot my heel down and explore that position for a couple seconds. Pivot my heel up, lay the knee down, swing back around, and then I'm back here. So let's do 1 more on each side. Just flipping back, pushing up, swinging out, and pivoting down.
There we go. Try to think that you're decelerating the whole time. So you're controlling that whole movement and slowly lowering your body down into the ground.
And bringing it back. That was a poor job of decelerating right there.
All right, very cool. So that was mainly in the lower body. Let's chill out a little bit, shake it loose, and then I'll take you through a little bit of, some upper body stuff as we go. Okay, so shake it loose. And so if you have a ball, you can use a ball. If you need a towel, utilize that. We're gonna get into the pec minor a little bit. So Last time for the T-spine, we got through the collarbones and into the subclavius, those tiny little muscles underneath the collarbone. The bigger muscle over there is the pec minor, which is where it links into that shoulder joint. So you're not in the joint itself, you're in that little divot of muscle, like right before you feel that joint. And usually if you press that, there's some funny, like nasty stuff in there. So if you just find that spot, you can take a ball, put it right over there. And if you have the mobility, you can kind of just lie down directly onto that spot and then pull that arm behind you. And you can kind of just rest over here and kind of just like flap your elbows like chicken wings. If it's tough to get into that position, you can use something like a yoga block or fold up a towel or something. And same thing, lean into that and just rest over here and move the arm back and forth. If you need a little bit more, you can definitely just like bring your arm up behind you, rotate it, and draw like circles. You can get really, really creative on like the range that you want your body to move to, as long as the ball's like pinned in that position and you're moving around there. So find that spot, breathe, rotate the arm, 3 to 4 breaths, and then slowly move through that position. Feel free to explore what your joint is naturally wanting you to do. And then once you feel that tissue start opening up, you can move like just a centimeter, half an inch, or whatever metric system you use to find another spot around that area. As long as you're not on the bone or in that joint, then just feel free to move into that. Once you feel like the tension has dissipated a little bit and you took like 5 to 10 breaths, switch over to the opposite side and compare one side to the other, see if one side is tighter. So many of the times the injured shoulder or the side that you're dominant on is usually a tighter side. And if you have any like previous shoulder injuries or neck injuries and stuff, you might realize that you'll find one spot over here that can either make it better or worse, depending if you're on the right muscle or not, right? So many of the times, I'd say about 75, 80% of the time, one of these are a very, very big open, overactive muscle. And once you release it, the body feels a little bit better. Once you're done with that, come up and retest, roll the shoulders around and see how that feels. Cool. If it feels looser, more open, more stable, those are really good things. If you feel like some weird achiness, like whether it's in the shoulder or somewhere else, or you're like, oh, that feels like unsafe, then probably not the best thing to do, right? You can always test against your toe touch, the biofeedback to see if your body likes that. Cool. So that's the pec minor. The next one we're going to go back into is the T-spine extensions for your upper back over here. So take the foam roller, start from the mid back. You're gonna lie on the foam roller. So the most important thing is to tuck the butt under and kind of try and pin the ribs into the body. You're gonna hug your elbows towards your head, so you're interlocking the fingers and keep your elbows close. And then from here, nice deep exhale, and then push those elbows back and behind you. It's almost like you're arcing those elbows and you're drawing like a rainbow with the elbows. So it's arcing back behind you as you're coming up. Half crunch forward, deep breath in. Exhale, reach the elbows away from you, look back, arc the elbows all the way down towards the ground and breathe in on the way up. So try to think that you're only folding over where the foam roller is touching your upper body. That's where you're bending from. The more control you have of bending from that one particular space, the easier it's going to be for you to open up more. So start from that mid back, do like, 3 to 5 bends. And then once that feels a little bit better, move up the foam roller as in closer to the neck, just like 1 or 2 vertebrae, and then do that again. And start realizing where you feel that limitation. Is it closer to the middle? Is it closer to the neck? You'll feel that one spot you're like, oh, I just don't want to bend from there. That is probably the place where you need to teach the body to bend more. So focus a little bit more time on that one specific area. And then make sure that as you're traveling up, get very, very close to the base of the neck where it meets the shoulders. So that's where the neck muscle meets the mid upper back muscle. So right around here is like by C7, T1, as in the shoulder joint where it's where the neck is in line with the shoulder joint. That's usually where you want to stop. Yeah, the extension. And then once all of that bends pretty well, pop back up, and then see how it feels to roll around, to move around and breathe and stuff. If it feels like it's easier to breathe, if you feel like it's naturally easier to just sit in a more neutral position, that is gold. That is very, very gold. All right, cool. So now that we're done with that, let's go into some lying down protraction, retraction stuff with the shoulder. So we're gonna be here, lying flat on the ground. Interlock your fingers, and then all you're gonna do is deep breath in. You're gonna exhale and then reach the fists towards the ceiling. And essentially just try get the shoulder blades as far away from the ground as possible. Then deep breath in, pull the shoulder blades back, flatten flatten the shoulder blades down towards the ground. And now we're gonna add an extra crunch with this. So deep breath in, exhale, you're gonna tuck the chin, reach the arms forward and do like a mini crunch. So you're rolling and think that your arms are pulling you up towards the ceiling. So the more you push with the hands, it's naturally gonna lift your body up, and then reverse that. So you're gonna peel your body back down towards the ground, middle back, upper back, neck, shoulders. We're gonna reverse that again. Tuck the chin, reach the arms up, keep reaching, reaching, reaching. You wanna hunch that upper back and reach with the armpit up as high as possible. Slowly coming back, down, and in. Repeat that one more time. Tuck the chin, exhale, reach up towards the ceiling. Slowly roll yourself back down towards the ground. All right, from here, just like roll one shoulder at a time. Try cover as much surface area on the ground as possible. You can do both circles. Just use the ground as feedback, and you can actually massage the shoulder blades and the back of the shoulder as you do this. Awesome, that looks pretty good. All right, once you've done that a few times, then we're gonna pop back onto the hands and knees. Whoa, what is all of that sound? Interesting. All right, so we're gonna be in this position. You're gonna cup the hand at the back of the of your head. You're gonna reach that elbow towards the opposite knee, and then exhale. Open up the elbow, push the bottom hand down into the ground, and then use that elbow to pull the chest open. Nice slow breaths. Deep breath in, exhale down, reach elbows to the knee. Exhale, up, push the hand into the ground, and feel this whole line from that hip towards that chest and shoulder to open up. 2 more reps. Breathe in on the way down. Exhale, push the hand into the ground, open up. Same rules as everything, no more than 50-60% stretch. One more time. Back up and open. Good. And then switch sides if you haven't already. Turn the opposite side, cup the hand at the base of the head. Deep breath in, reach knee to opposite, elbow to opposite knee. Exhale, push into the ground, open up, drive that elbow back, elongate the body. Nice and slow. 3 more reps. Try to keep the weight over the hand. 2 more. Inhale on the way down. Exhale. Nice, slow exhale. Breathe that tension out. One more time. It's all about connecting those muscles to the body. The more fluid you make it, the more the body will allow you to do that movement. Sweet. All right. Shake it loose. How's everybody feeling? Awesome. All right, Ryan, you're gonna do. Let's go for like a quick little cool down, like a breathing thing, and then I think that'll be good.
Sweet. All right. So everyone just wants to come and kind of chill out here. If crisscross is comfortable, go for it. If you want a little support under your butt, go for it. I'm going to take a yoga block here. So any comfortable position. This can be kneeling, it can be seated like this, whatever. Just start with a little bit of neck rotation here. So I tuck my chin down, roll my ear to my left shoulder, all the way around, right ear to right shoulder, and then reverse it. Keep breathing here. Good. One more each side. Nice. Look to the left. Breathe. Look to the right. Breathe. Good. And then come up to center. So what we're going to start with here is just take your right hand to the left side of your head, coming over the top. And push your opposite arm down towards the ground. Breathe out as you allow your head to fall to the side. Feel a little bit of a stretch going in the neck, and then bring the head back to center. Repeat on the other side. And come back. All right, so just find a comfortable position, hands center, knees, whatever you want to do. Just kind of you close your eyes. Just think about kind of tuning into the breath a little bit. So start to notice as you breathe where you feel your breath most prominently. Do you feel it coming into your nose? Are you breathing into your mouth, into your belly, your chest, back, hips? Where do you feel your breath? Take a couple breaths just to notice. And start to push your breath or allow your breath to drop down into your belly. So now we're going to start to breathe in through the nose, starting to bring that breath down to the stomach area. Four to six breaths into the stomach. Now we're going to bring that breath up towards the chest. So we're going to start to breathe in through the chest here. So chest and rib cage blow up like a balloon. You feel that deflate.
Yep. Every time you exhale, think that your shoulders are just sinking down into the ground. There's no reason to hold any tension up within the shoulders and the neck if you can focus on exhaling that out.
So after we've taken a couple breaths into the chest, just allow that breath to return back to normal into the stomach. We're just going to pay attention to the length of our inhales and exhales. So we're going to work on a 4-second inhale and a 6-second exhale. We're going to build up to a 14-second exhale. Yeah, a completely random number I chose. So 4-second inhale in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full breath. Slowly out, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. One more of those. In, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for a second. Out, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, same thing. 4-second inhale. 3, 2, 1. And 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. In again. 4, 3, 2, 1. And 10 seconds out. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, building up. We're going to go right to that 14 seconds. So we have full breath of air. 3, 2, 1, and out. Slow. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. One more of those on your own. Nice, slow exhale. This is more or less tricking your body into chilling the fuck out. So, really, really great technique to use anytime during the day or right before bed, even.
Trying to train everybody to become free divers, apparently. So, yeah, ultimately, if you literally just double the length of your exhale towards your inhale, things will be fine. So most of the times, it's not the breathing in that we struggle with, it's actually the breathing out. You think about asthmatics and stuff, like they can breathe in, and that's all they can do is they go, and when they get nervous and they can't exhale, they can't push the air out, like anxiety keeps driving up. So the more you can actually teach them to breathe out and lengthen that, the nervous system calms down and gives you the results that you actually are looking for. Yep, awesome. Thank you guys for joining again. I will be posting Friday's flow and today's video out within the next few hours and stuff like that. So by the end of the day, you should be able to access it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to rewatch it, share it with your people, feel free to go for it. Any other questions, or we're good to go? Sweet. All right. Let me know if you guys need anything else. Ryan, thank you again. That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
See you guys whenever.